I don't see all the time a lot of that Latino women camaraderie. When I first started, I was like with Black women. Yeah.
You also have this travel where you have like a summit that goes down in Dubai.
Yes.
You want to tell the people about that?
They have everything as far as like royalty and luxury. The skyscrapers, you know, the money, the oil. But the culture, we bring that.
Anybody single that I should know about? Like, should I consider it? So how do you make money from this? What are we talking about in terms of like upfront investment? As the person who's hosting, like what do those costs look like? When I was reading up on your story, you work a lot with women around mental health, around trauma.
I went through domestic violence, and it took me a long time to develop confidence after I had my children. I work with a lot of men too. Sometimes it's challenging, difficult.
Talk about that. Has there ever been a time where you're doing business and you're attracted to the person you're doing business with? What's up, everybody? Welcome to Banking on Cultura. I am your host, Victoria Jenn Rodriguez. Really excited to have you all here. And we're coming to you live from New York City with another fabulous guest, darling. And this guest, we actually met. We met through a promoter at the club.
We did. We did.
That is where we met. He was like, you should come out tonight. It's going to be a good time. I'm inviting some other ladies. And I'm like, okay, cool. I went by myself, and that is where we met.
Yes.
We met at the club.
That's so true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's how we met. And then ever since, we've been in each other's communities. You've come to events. You were at the Kiki Soiree recently. So I'm really excited to have you here, Miss Sue Fearless.
Excited to be
Welcome.
here. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Yes.
I actually recently had the pleasure of being on your podcast.
Yes.
And we filmed out in the Bronx at BronxNet Studios.
That's right.
Which was really cool. We had a lot of good conversation. So make sure to check that episode out on Sue Fearless, right? What is it? Sip
Fearlessly.
Sip Fearlessly, darling. You know what I wanted to ask you?
Go.
Sue Fearless, not your real name, but this is like your brand.
Yes.
So where does this come from?
Oh my God. So I have like the best story. So I started Fearless Women about, I keep saying 7 years, but I feel like it's close to 10 years now, if I really go back. And I started doing like event curating and things like that. And I got to work with a lot of amazing, dope people in the industry, out of the industry in New York City. And, eventually my organization went into women empowerment and, full circle now. But during that time when I was hosting events, I was also working with a good friend of mine. And at the time, my girlfriend also had launched her DJ career. So we decided to have a residency in the Lower East Side. So very successful residency. Thank you to everybody who came out to Victor and Spoils, because it was a time. It was great.
Okay.
Yeah, we had it for like a whole year, I believe, or 2 years. And it was incredible. But I was always like behind the scenes type of person. Like I could network, I could work a room and things like that, but I never was like comfortable getting on the microphone and things like that. So one of the events, one of my best friends who we were hosting with, he got on the mic and he was like, well, now I'm going to introduce you to Sue Fearless. And that was the first time I've ever heard that. And I was like, what, me? Like, those are some big shoes to fill. So, but ever since then, I feel like he almost gave me like my superpower.
I love that.
And it's been that ever since. Yeah.
Okay, so you were like, Sue Fearless is.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because when I was reading like your media kit, I was like, is this like her real name? Because that is like the name that is everywhere. But I love that. It's a great conversation starter, obviously. So we like to start our conversations with some bonchinches. So give us some tea. Give us something we can't Google about you.
Oh my God. So when I was young, I would say when I was in like 3rd or 4th grade, I had a teacher. He was amazing. He was so like quirky and eclectic and different, but he was so awesome and intelligent. And he used to love chess.
Okay.
So chess wasn't a part of our day-to-day or curriculum or anything, but he made us learn chess. So that's like a fun fact that like nobody knows, even though I haven't played in a while, but I do know what each of the pieces represent and how they move and things like that, which everybody should play chess, learn how to play chess. So that's like a fun fact. And then also a lot of people don't know, but I come from a family of musicians. So like my dad was a musician, my uncle was a singer, and just I feel like my whole life it has kind of followed me without me even looking for it. And I've always loved music. When I was younger, I felt like music kind of saved my life because since I was like so shy and things like that, it was like my outlet. So I used to listen to music. I used to, I remember I used to have like my little boom box. It was like purple, orange, and green. And I used to bring it with me on the class trips. And my life was just music, but I was never in the music industry, right?
Okay.
But I used to write lyrics to songs. So I used to also get like the instrumentals. I used to stop, write to it, things like that. I've always loved being a writer. So yeah, that's like a fun fact. And then I just feel like in my adulthood, for some reason, it has just followed me.
Okay.
I've like dated in the music industry. I've
Anybody
been
we
in
know?
the music industry. You know,
This
I'm
is
very
the Bochinche
private.
hour. Oh gosh.
I'm very private. I mean, you know what it is for me? I just feel like it works. Victoria, I just feel like it works.
What works?
Like just being private, it works for me. Like whoever sees us, they know we're together. But like, I like having my own identity,
Okay.
and I prefer it that way.
Okay. Were
But
they in?
when I have a ring on my finger, it'll be on blast.
Okay, but like, are they in hip hop? Are they in movies?
So it's been
Spanish music, like.
it's been in different areas of entertainment, but now hip hop. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so we're dating somebody now.
Yeah.
In hip hop.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm gonna get that seat off camera.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that bonchinche.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
Good. I need to learn how to play chess. Like,
Yeah.
I really want to be, like that silent killer. Like, I want to show up on the golf course
Yes.
and blow them away.
Yes.
I want to just see people playing chess and be like, oh, can I play? And just blow them
Yes.
away. Like, I think that would be, like, first of all, just super powerful and badass.
Yeah.
But also just attract different type of people and conversations to me.
Yeah.
Maybe you can
Exactly.
teach me some chess. You know what? Maybe that should be like a kiki. Like to play some
Ooh.
chess, like
Yes.
dinner and chess, and have like a chess instructor come, maybe over some cocktails or something like
I
that.
like that.
Huh.
I like that because
Things
the
make you go,
pieces, the pieces really represent like life as well. Once you really get down to it and you see how the pieces move and everything on the board and what pieces protect what other pieces on the board and things like that, like it's really like a reflection, a mirror to like how life is.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So tell the people, Dominicana y Boricua? Or,
Yes, both.
Okay, so best of both worlds over
Yes.
here. Okay. And is this a tan for your skin complexion, or is this...
Girl.
Because it's looking very like smooth
Thank
and
you.
fresh.
Thank you. I live in the sun.
Okay.
Like, I'm a winter baby. I was born in January, but I'm not like, I don't hate winter, but I'm not a huge fan of winter. I'm like, give me the sun, give me the heat, let me sweat. I don't care. I love it. So I did spend a lot of time outdoors this summer, and I love riding my bike. So I was doing a lot of that, and beach here and there. So
Yeah. Same. I'll go to the beach and I'll sit my ass in the sun for
Yes.
hours and not have a problem with that.
Right. I won't get in the water, which is weird.
Same.
But
Same. I won't. I mean, if it's really hot, I'll go
Yeah.
in, do a little splashy splash, but then it's right back to tanning.
Yes.
We on a mission.
Yes.
We got things to
We didn't
accomplish
make it to the
here.
beach. We gotta make it to the
I know. We
beach.
didn't get to go to the beach together.
I
We
know.
need to do that.
Yeah.
Summer's ending. I'm
I
very
know.
sad about this.
Me too.
But we can always hop on a plane because you have this
Hello.
Dubai experience coming up, which I think is really cool. So in addition
you.
to you having your women's organization and all the other things that you do, which we'll get into,
Yeah.
you also have this travel kind of agency like thing
Yes.
going, right?
Yes.
Where you have like a summit that goes down in Dubai.
Yes.
You want to tell the people about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for me, I feel like alignment is like everything. Like when you say something, it really comes back to you. Like if you really focus on that intention, it really comes back to you. And I've always been a person since I was younger that wanted to travel globally, but also do something when I'm traveling, like bring something to the table when I'm traveling, to all these different countries. So I was traveling a lot, and I went to Dubai for the first time last year in January for my birthday. I believe it was last year. Yes, with my two best friends from high school. And we just went for leisure. They were like, let's go to Dubai. I was like, okay. My first time getting on a long flight, and I didn't fly with them. So
That was your first
paranoid.
time traveling that long?
Yes. So I was paranoid. So I bought myself like a leg room, more leg room seat, everything, because I was like, I refuse to sit in the middle, and then I'm claustrophobic. It was a whole thing.
That's not like 16 hours, right? How long is Dubai?
It's 12 hours to go, and then 14 to come back. For some reason, I guess they take like a different route coming back. But yeah, it was the longest because prior to that, I only did like 10 hours. We flew into, I think it was Bangkok, and then took another flight to Phuket. So that was, but I wasn't by myself.
Right, so that helps.
So I was like, oh my God.
What airline did you take?
Emirates.
Oh, that's my favorite.
I love Emirates.
Same.
Especially
in like economy. I feel like it's not really economy.
No. You feel like I agree.
They treat you very well.
I agree. Yes.
It's a little tight depending on where you sit, but it's not like traditional economy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But a little secret, when you guys board, just look towards the rear of the plane, and you'll be able to find some empty aisle seats. And you can just take over them and just lay down, take a nap, all of that. So, little trick. But, so fast forward, I came back. I Instagram, of course, is the best. I put out all my content. So I went to this event, and I guess one of the folks that was there, he had done research on everybody that was going to be at the event, including myself. I was hosting along with some other people. So he approached me. He was like, oh, hey, I saw that you went to Dubai. And I was like, yes, I did. And he was like, well, I have this project that I've been working on. And he was in the military. That's his background. So he has seen Dubai from the beginning times. I'm talking about 20 years ago, before all these skyscrapers were up and things like that. So he was telling me, like, I've been there all these years, I've built these relationships, and this is what I'm doing. So I was like, hell yeah. Like, sign me up. I want to learn more. Tell me more. So in the same year, I went back to Dubai, which was nuts. Because when I was out there the first time, I was like, I want to go back, and I want to bring my daughter. I got to bring my daughter also. So that was like a milestone for me. So anyway, to talk about the project, so basically we focus on 4 pillars. It is adventure, which is the excursions and everything. So we set all of that up for all the travelers that are coming with us. And then we also have the entertainment and artist side. So we bring artists and entertainers who want to come out there and perform out there and get potential residencies and also get exposure for their craft out there. So we set that up. We set up the TV interviews out there, the radio interviews. We also have them come record at the largest music compound in Abu Dhabi. And then also they get to perform at the Versace Palace, at the Q's Lounge, which is the late Quincy Jones's lounge. And then we have a concert that we put together. Yeah. So they have a lot of great opportunity and exposure.
So how do you make money from this?
Well, depends on how many travelers come and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how we make the residual afterwards.
So do the artists pay to be featured? Okay.
So it depends, like, the level of artistry, right? So if it's like a artist who's for the first time getting themselves out there, things like that, yeah, they have to pay, but if we have a few special artists that are coming out with us that we haven't announced yet, but they are already established in their careers, like they're already celebrities, things like that. So that would be a different component.
Anybody
for them.
Single that I should know about? Like, should I consider?
We'll talk again behind the scenes.
This trip? I don't know.
You should consider the trip. I would love to have you out there. I would love that.
Well, let's get a sponsor so they can pay me to go there.
There you go. Sponsor. That's it. So they get to do all of those amazing things. And also shout out to our girl that came out with us, that she is the ambassador, Vina Love.
Okay.
Which is Kid Capri's daughter. She's been like killing it in the scene now. She does R&B, amazing talent. Like, she ripped it out there.
So let me ask you this. You mentioned some venues.
Yeah.
Like, do you have to pay in advance to like schedule those venues? Like, what I'm trying to get at is, I know there's people who are considering retreats.
Yeah.
Right? As part of their business model. So I'm trying to like realistically see, like, what does this model look like? How much would it cost? Like, how do you prepare yourself so that you're like not in the hole?
Yeah, so a lot of these places that we're using is also because we built relationships with them. So like the cost is probably doesn't look the same as if someone else goes that they don't know, they don't have that rapport with them yet. But
and especially
yes,
in like Dubai, right? Because they're kind of like very like, if you ain't us, you not it.
Well, actually, they like it. They love us.
Okay.
They actually love our culture out there. They love us coming with our culture out there. I don't know if you saw also, like French Montana just got engaged with the Princess of Dubai.
Con la princesa.
They love our culture. I think they have. So
well,
they
I mean, I don't know if French Montana counts. I mean, he kind of is.
He's Moroccan. Yeah. But he grew up here. He grew up in the States. But they have everything as far as like royalty and luxury, the skyscrapers, the money, the oil. But the culture, we bring that. So even when I went back last year in January, I felt like there was so many things missing that they could have. Like, for example, I don't think at that time there was probably like one yoga studio. Right? So like things like that. Yeah. Okay. So they're looking for us to bring more of those things. And that's why my business partner and I became interested in this market, because we're like, okay, we see it. We see it. And then, we build these relationships that are awesome. So yeah. So, and then aside from that.
International, yes. Fearless. Okay.
I'm working. Like, I am a very hard worker. So, I think all of the work that I've done just leads me to where I go, and now it's here, But yeah. And then one thing I'm also very excited about is the business symposium, because I wanted to definitely bring a stage and a panel of folks who can talk to us and talk to even to the people in the UAE about different opportunities, whether it's investing in crypto, whether it's entering the entertainment industry, film or music, whether it's investing in real estate, which investing in real estate is really huge out there, because you don't pay any taxes. And then there's different ways that you can purchase real estate out there, as opposed to the limitations we have here in the US, right?
Interesting. Okay.
So that is also very lucrative out there. Like, there are so many real estate agents out there and brokers, it's insanity. But there's a lot of building out there. There's a lot of construction.
Yep.
So yeah.
Okay, so relationships obviously make a difference. Let's talk about, on average, what can people think about in terms of like cost to host something in a completely different country? What are we talking about?
So that's a great question. I'll tell you why.
Mi gente, I've got the perfect freebie for you. So I just dropped a 17-page workbook to help you get your mind right, especially in this climate of so much uncertainty. So if you are an aspiring or current entrepreneur and you're just feeling stuck, you're not feeling too good about what the future holds, and all the turmoil, the politics, all of it is just throwing you off your game, this workbook is actually going to act as a journal for you. It covers goal setting, efficiency tips, how to manage your time, financial management tips, strategies on how to wrap your head around the next big thing that's coming down the pipeline to bring you consistent revenue in your business. It covers what you should be doubling down on in terms of your well-being. And it is just my favorite jam-packed journal full of marketing and sales strategy to help you get clarity, but most importantly, to help you secure the big bag. So make sure to tap on the link in the show notes. I've linked it there so that you guys can get really clear on the top hacks that you can put into play to set yourself up for success. I hope you love it.
Some people have looked at our packages and looked at the cost, and they're like, this may be a bit up there, right? But if you actually do research, so I'll be transparent, right? So for example, one of our packages for a person who is sharing a room, and then including with everything we're doing, all the excursions, the events, the food, the transportation, it comes out to $2,500, right?
That's not bad.
This is Dubai. Thank you for saying
that. That's not bad at all.
This is Dubai. The only thing is it doesn't include the flight, because we have people traveling from all parts of the country in the U.S.
You can get a flight to Dubai for like $700.
Exactly. So I'm glad you asked that question, because I think it's very reasonable. I've looked at other packages that people have done to other places, and they're like $5,000, $7,500. You know, I'm like $2,500 is super affordable, considering everything you're gonna get out there. And even if you're coming as a traveler and you weren't even thinking about, exposing your brand or anything like that, once you're there, you can still do that. You can still talk to the people that we're bringing in to build relationships with the artists, with the entertainers, with the entrepreneurs. You can still create that network and keep in touch with these people. You know,
Yep.
we're not, you know, another thing that we focused on is we wanted to be a company that wasn't gatekeepers. We wanted to be a company that we were like, you know what? We have these resources in Dubai. Let's share that with everybody. This is amazing. Let's share that. And then that's how also Fearless International Agency was created, because with the agency, like Global VIP Experience is the parent company. And then Fearless International Agency focuses on that brand and personal development.
Okay.
So if anybody is really interested in getting a residency out there, we'll broker that deal. If an artist needs help with branding themselves and developing themselves more as a professional artist, we'll help them with that.
Right.
You know, so those things. So we wanted to make sure that we were that type of company, because we know how the music industry is. You know?
Yeah,
We don't got to
totally.
talk too much about it, but we know how it is.
So, okay, $2,500 is like
Yes.
your lowest package for someone to come. But what I want to know, because, you know,
Yes.
I like getting into the weeds of things, is
Yes.
as the person who's hosting, like, what do those costs look like?
Right, putting something together like this, right? I mean, again, I think it's just like literally relationship is key, right? Because I can go directly to which there's many venues I haven't been to yet out there, right? I can go to a venue, walk in, they don't know who I am, and I have the conversation with them. They'll give me this number. Now, if I go with somebody that has already leveraged that relationship,
Right.
it'll be a different number, right? So for me, that was important. So not only did I want to meet people that owned and ran the venue, but I also wanted to meet people who were out there doing the work as well.
So this is a great takeaway right here. This is actually a good, like, hack.
Yes.
When you're thinking about building your business model,
Absolutely.
is to actually have relationships on the ground and bring them to the negotiation
Yes.
table with you, because you'll probably get a better price.
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%. 100%. So that's kind of like how we've been doing it, right? So because we can look online, and most likely if I walk into a hotel also and I'm like, hey, I'm bringing 50 plus people, I need X amount of rooms, what is the rate for that? Again, same thing. They don't really know who I am. They don't really know the type of folks that we're bringing,
Right.
you know, things like that. So because of those reasons, they might give us the same exact price that's online.
Right.
As opposed to if we go through one of our contacts, it'll be a different price.
So
that's
okay.
what we've leveraged, yeah.
So what are we talking about in terms of, like, upfront investment?
Yeah.
Like, what is that number? What would be, like,
Yeah.
a great rule of thumb for somebody who's looking to host a retreat that is in a different country?
Right. I mean, you're looking for exact figure or a percentage of
Like
what we're putting
a range.
down.
Like, for
Okay.
example, like, if you're interested in hosting a retreat overseas, you should be thinking about having at least, you know, I'm throwing out a number,
Yeah.
having at least $25,000
Right.
to put down before
Yeah.
you see any money coming in. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm asking. Like, what are the costs?
Yeah. So, I mean, for us, I'm going to say, let's see, 25, 30. I'm going to say it's around the 25,000, 30,000 mark,
Okay,
because
so I was
we
spot
do, yeah, because we do have to put the deposit up front.
Got
You
it.
know, so
Okay.
we're not even thinking about the travelers and all that stuff. We're just like, no, we have to lock this in, especially if we want to lock in a good rate too. We have
Right.
to lock it in beforehand. So that's actually what we're working on now. But we've been having these conversations all year. We went in January to meet everybody in person. And then since then, we've been just talking to them, getting on Zooms and stuff like that. So yeah, we, you know, most of the places you have to put like 50% deposit up front. So I would say, yeah, but it also depends on how many people are coming to your retreat. You know, what are you going to include in your packages and things like that? Because we also have a lot of stuff included for them. So we have to pay a deposit on the hotel, on the transportation, on the desert safari, on the Aura Sky Pool at the St. Regis Hotel, at the, you know,
that's fancy.
yeah, girl. Yes. Like all of those things. So
I
it's
love
like,
it. Yeah.
it's like, it's, you know, it's,
That's pressure.
you have to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you basically have to be prepared to possibly, like, lose some money, because
Yeah.
let's say you can't sell enough tickets, or
Right.
somebody canceled, or whatever
Right.
it is. Like, you kind of have, it's a gamble.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why we wait. So we're going October 8th for everybody who's interested. But that's why we've waited until now, the end of August, beginning of September, because now we have a better idea how many people we have coming along,
Okay.
so that we don't over book. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. When you say, meaning like you're reserving the hotel rooms now that you have an idea.
Yes, exactly. So now we can
Okay.
come to them and tell them, okay, we need X amount of rooms.
Got it.
Yeah.
But for the venues, that money or those bookings you had to do like before now, right?
Yeah, but the venues are easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
is
think
it the hotel that you would say is like the
the
biggest
biggest
expense?
cost.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. The hotel is the biggest cost. And then we have an evening on the yacht. That's also going to be an expense for us. And the outer sky pool, definitely, because it's the tallest, the highest infinity 360-degree view pool in the world.
I love that.
So it's super luxury. Because and that's another component. That's another pillar that we focus on, is just bringing everybody like 5-star experience. Yeah. So like I would say those three are probably like the highest expense that we have. Yeah.
Got it. So what should someone be thinking about if they are interested in doing something like this? So we already know they should have at least 25 to 30K to possibly put down and also to possibly lose.
Right.
Depending on what happens. What are some other learnings that you've had so far? Because this is your first one, right?
My second.
Oh, this is your second
We was there
one.
last year.
Oh, okay.
October,
so what have been some major
Yeah.
learnings that you learned like your first year that you're implementing this year?
Yeah, I think as far as the planning goes and everything, that actually has been great.
Okay.
We haven't really hit like any major issues. I think for us, because we're building a new brand, that part of it has been where we're like, okay, let's try this to see if it works. If it gets engagement, let's try this to see if it works. So I think building up different strategies to get people engaged to want to come out with us. I think that's where we have been talking about putting the more emphasis on once we get back. So we're definitely going to make sure that this time around when we're out there, we have a few people on ground that are going to take all of our content, like videography, photography, everything.
Yes, absolutely.
Because, we didn't come back with enough content from last year. So that's something. And then just...
Yeah, and especially because this is going to be mad bougie with the hotel and the yacht. Yes, we need that. And Dubai has a lot of creators.
Yeah.
They have a lot of people out there.
Well,
that
there's
do
a lot
it.
of... So the people that move out there, they're called expats.
Correct.
There's a lot of expats out there. A lot. Like as I start going and as I start telling people, they're like, oh yeah, my friend lives out there, such and such. Let me connect you with that person. Oh, my friend lives out there. I have a friend, a DJ, he moved to it wasn't Dubai first. Was it Saudi Arabia? He moved in that vicinity. It wasn't Dubai. But this was like 10, 12 years ago. And when I went out to Dubai, I was like, oh my God. I saw him on Instagram. He's out there. He was DJing. I hit him up. I'm like, this is what we're doing. He came out, checked out what we were doing. And now we're like, he's a part of what we're doing when we're out there.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot of people out there from the US living out there too, as well. So yeah, it's just been great connecting and seeing what possibilities are out there.
Okay, so a major learning was making sure you got content.
Yeah.
People on the ground to record all the amazing stuff that's going down. So you mentioned you have a partner.
Yeah.
Let's talk about partnerships because some people tend to gravitate away from having partnerships. What has been your experience and what is some advice you have if someone is considering a partnership?
Yeah. So I like this question. So it is difficult. Working in partnerships. I think that before you enter a partnership, you have to really get an idea on the mindset of the person that you're getting into a partnership with. Like, what are their values? What are they really looking for out of this? Right? Because we all have something great to offer, right? And I always tell people, like, I know you see somebody and you're like, oh my God, I really want to work with that person. Let me go to this networking event and meet that person and go after that person, But I always tell them, like, when you meet somebody and you want to work with somebody, make sure that you also are bringing something to the table, because that's very important. And my experience in the past, a lot of it has been people who want to work with me because they want to take. Unfortunately, it has been like that. And even with my podcast, like I've had a plethora of hosts come through, and all great people, but people get empowered, they move on. right? So that's a lot of the things that has happened, because sometimes I have gotten discouraged and I'm like, well, damn, why can't I keep a team together? Like, what is going on? And it's because of that, because we didn't have those conversations. Like, what are you really looking for out of this? What is your commitment to this? Right? This is XYZ, what needs to be done when you're a part of this, right? So let's split these responsibilities. Let's have that checklist, right? Some people join things, they just want to come in, show up, and then that's it, gone, right? You don't speak to them as much after that. You're not building rapport, things like that. So I think first is checking the mindset of the people that you're getting into work with. With women, it's a little challenging. I think what has worked for me best with women is women who are veterans. That has worked better for me because...
What do you mean by veterans?
Like veterans in their respective...
Oh, right. Like they're not trying to get put on. They already have seasonality.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes. So that has worked better for me because I'm a team player. Like, I'm not looking for that. Like, I'm the type of person that I'm like, wow, like, you inspire me. Like, let me learn from you. That's the type of person I am. I'm very humble. I'm very like, let's get to work. Let me see what I can learn and build myself along the way too, because that also helps you, right? As opposed to like when you're working with people who are trying to be put on or things like that, like women, that it becomes very challenging sometimes because, you're Victoria. You've been doing a lot of amazing things. Thank you. You are killing it. Your business acumen, everything, right? So somebody may meet you and they come and work with you and they start taking little strategies from you and doing the same exact thing that you're doing, right? And it's great to learn because that's what we're here for, right? We're here to learn. I learn from people learn from me, but I feel like people forget their own identity. And it's like, but what are you bringing uniquely into this, right? So I think that's what makes it challenging, but I've tried not to.
Or they forget who put them on.
Oh, absolutely. I've heard it all. I've heard it all. I've heard, I don't really need this platform and things like that. And I'm just like, well, I didn't even say you needed it. This is coming all from you. So, yeah. But, I try not to let those things deter me from continuing to work with women and be empowered with women, because our tribe is out there that is not on that type of time, So yeah, I try not to let it discourage me, and I try not to let it, I don't want to build up personal feelings against anybody. Business is business at the end of the day. And that's how I just try to keep it. And, when I see something that's, especially if I'm working with somebody that is either my friend or family member, something like that, I'm just like, okay, let me put a pause on this. Because for me, the most important thing is the friendship, or is that you're my family. And let me put a pause on the business. Yeah. So we could keep that.
Okay. So if you're thinking about partnership, assess values, assess commitment.
Yeah.
Assess, what do you want out of this partnership, out of this experience?
Yeah.
You prefer seasonality.
Yeah.
Anything else that you would say people should consider when they're thinking about partnership?
Yeah, I think honing in on what your skills are. What are you bringing to the table? Making sure you're always bringing something to the table. Like always. Like what do you have to also offer? I think that's very important, because that'll strengthen your partnership. Yeah. And, I work with a lot of men too, which could be a little... sometimes, because... Do
you have a fun story?
Oh, man, do I have a fun story? I don't know. Sometimes it's challenging because you want to make sure you keep that business, that boundary. Like, this is business, because sometimes you spend a lot of time with your male business partners. So it's like you want to make sure you keep it business. You don't want to be too friendly. You want to put boundaries, don't text me or call me after this time, things like that, just so that we keep it business, because sometimes, that can happen. Like, somebody can develop feelings and things like that. And so that could be a little difficult.
Talk about that, because I think that's really important.
Yeah.
To break down.
Yeah.
Because you're gorgeous.
Thank you.
And I know I've experienced moments where I sometimes am like, how should I manage this? Because, quite frankly, it is a competitive advantage to be a woman.
Yeah.
Right? So knowing that, but also knowing and understanding the male ego a little bit, like, it is kind of strategic that you have that power.
Yeah.
But how do you create the boundary and the balance where they're like, not completely turned off because their ego is hurt.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
And still want to like work with you. So
Yeah.
is there anything you can share there?
Yeah, I mean, definitely lean into your femininity, which I believe is like what you're saying, because it is to our advantage. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I have like a specific strategy. I'm just very stern. I'm very stern. I'm very like, okay, if we have to have a business dinner, I'm very like, one drink, don't laugh too much at the jokes, just keep it very stern, because also for me it's very important, respect, like for people to respect me, so yeah, I just keep it very cordial, very stern, and like, yeah, we're peoples, but I don't flirt, I don't touch. I'm not like, like, because we tend to do that without even knowing sometimes as
Right.
women, And yeah, so I think just keeping myself like poised and being stern in my approach and communication, I think has helped, and creating boundaries.
Has there ever been a time where you're doing business and you're attracted to the person you're doing business with?
Yes, but the business, it never happened because of that reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keeping it separate.
Yeah, because you already know. You already have feelings for the person, so you already know where it's going to go. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, the business didn't happen. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I was reading up on your story, you work a lot with women around mental health, around trauma. What has been your story, and how does that help you advise women who are looking to heal?
Yeah, so I was a young mom. I had my son when I was 19 years old. Definitely, wasn't ready for it. But, I also don't like to say that sometimes, because I feel like we're never ready for a lot of things. We kind of just get ready. But I was a young mom, so I went through a lot of challenges in that relationship. I went through domestic violence, and it took me a long time to develop confidence after I had my children, because I was going through all of that trauma. There was times where I felt like neglected, not wanted, things like that. And then other times where this is why it was toxic, because other times it was like love bombed in the same, with the same person. And I just really had to like get out of that situation, because I went through a very dark time. I was also acting out of emotion, physically, verbally, things like that. So I had to like take a look at myself and be like, okay, you're going down a dark hole. Like, this is depression. You don't want to get out of bed. This is not how it's supposed to be. Get yourself together and get out of this. But it took a while for that to happen. And I never went to therapy. I encourage therapy so much. I never went to therapy, but I encourage that. I think at the time I didn't have the resources, right? And that's why I then started the organization. So, but it's a crazy story, because when I met some friends in college, they were also young moms, but they're a little older than me. I'm going to say maybe they were like 5 years older than me. And when I met them, they had a lot of confidence. And I was like, I started asking them questions like, have you been through this similarly? Like, how did you deal with that? How did you deal with being a young mom? Things like that. And I think being around them, they probably don't even know this. If they watch this, they'll be surprised. But they helped me a lot during that time. And I started developing confidence. And I started, I was back in college. Then I went on and got my master's, things like that. So then I started figuring out, okay, I want to do something other than, my 9 to 5, which was in accounting. Made it to Wall Street like I wanted to, but I still wasn't fulfilled, because that wasn't really like the career that I wanted to get into. So I started like just figuring out what I liked, what I wanted to do. And that's how I started building my community. But when I started doing events and promoting and things like that, I still was kind of in that relationship. It was still lingering. So that person was like a stalker, per se. Right? And I was like, how am I going to develop? That's when social media started happening. I was like, how can I develop a brand without being attached to it? That was like my strategy to figure out what I can do without having this person trying to block it. And that's when I came up with Fearless Women. And I was like, okay, so this doesn't have to be under my name. So Fearless Women it is. And like I told you, I was doing the events, things like that. And then women started approaching me and they were like, oh, how are you doing this? Like, how are you having time to, like, you have children, you have, a career. How are you getting the time to do this extra thing that you're doing, having the confidence to do it, things like that, building resources, network. So then that's when I was like, okay, I did a lot of nightlife, did a lot of events in the city. Now I want to move towards women empowerment. So I started hosting panel events and things like that. And I started going into shelters and speaking to women because it is not the easiest thing, especially when you have children, to get out of like a situation like that. Because you might have been just focused on your relationship and your children and you probably didn't build your career. So you probably are financially dependent on this person, right? So all of those different reasons, could be reasons why it's so difficult for women to get out of those situations. So I really started diving into like the mindset. And I was like, well, this is like a plan of action that you can take. And these are resources that you can call to help you get into this, right? Write your resume. I was working also with, what's the company called? Is it Dress for Less? I think it's Dress for Success or something like that. I forget the name. I don't know why I'm thinking Dress for Less, but I started working with these companies that started, they give donations, right? So I was helping the women get ready for interviews, things like that. So I was working with job recruiters and stuff like that. But at the same time, helping them change their mindset from like a failure mindset to like a winning mindset, like get your life back, take control over your life back, and then that led into, financial literacy and all of that. I don't think I have like, how some people have like all these great strategies when it comes to mindset. I think for me is like really digging deep into your soul and even thinking about like when you were young and like, what are the things that I liked when I was young? What are some of the passions that I had, right? I think digging deep and going back to those areas really brings life back into you. Mm-hmm. And you might not go and do those things that you wanted to do back then, but it'll still be like a spark for you. Like, oh man, you know what? Let me get back into that young childlike enthusiasm and motivation. So that's what I try to work on with, with the women that I talk to. And that helps with everything, with building confidence, all of those things. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what I appreciate about your story, and it's interesting because I was thinking about the time that we met mm-hmm. and my first impression of you. And there was something that I was like, she seems pretty dope. I don't know what it is because I just met you. And I think we hung out a couple of times after that, but it was more like social. Yeah. It was more like, let's go back as a cutie. Right. Because we outside. Yes. This was years ago, by the way. This was years ago. Yeah. And it is now, recently, that I'm actually learning more about you on like the professional side and just learning more of your story. Because when we would go out, we're not talking deep like this, right? We're talking some other things. So what I really appreciate about your story is how multifaceted it is. Yeah. Like, I sometimes go back and forth with the fact that I can't be placed in a box. Yeah. Right? Some people would argue that that might make things difficult, right? Because if people can't place you, you confuse them. Right. And so that might confuse the money. Yeah. Right? But what I'm hearing from your story is you can't put you in a box, right? You have this travel company, you have this nonprofit where you're helping women, you're teaching financial literacy, you also get contracting opportunities, etc. There was a transition that happened, right? Because you did the traditional route, right? You went to school, you got your master's, like you went all the way, you did all the things, you're on Wall Street, and now you're in a couple of different arenas. Yeah. So what would be your advice for someone who is done with kind of the traditional way of doing things and looking to break out of the box?
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking to step into entrepreneurship, definitely you need to have savings. That is the number one rule. Like, have savings. think about your 401k. What's in your 401k? How long will that 401k last you if you're thinking about cashing it out when you become a full-time entrepreneur? What else are you investing in? Definitely look at that first. Diversify your portfolio when
Wait,
it
are
comes
you
to
recommending
investing.
that people use what's in their 401k to invest in their
Not
business?
all of it.
Okay. Because I just saw, I don't know if you seen this, but it just came out that Issa Rae used
Yes.
like her life savings when she was with her boo and she thought that they were going half on it. He pulled out and she ended up literally using all her savings.
Yeah.
And what she said was, which was interesting given the way that it's turned out for her, her mistake was that she used all her money.
I don't recommend that people use all of their money. But it's like you said, sometimes you got to bet on yourself, right? Because that's what she did. And look where she's at now. Granted. However, it is very difficult. So I'm very sure, I don't know too much about her story, but I'm almost...
You never watched Insecure?
I did watch Insecure, yes.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Well, that's her story. No,
Right,
let me
right.
stop. Nah, she's badass. She started with YouTube. She started making her own shows on YouTube.
But what I was going to say was, I'm pretty sure she had nights where, that story when you're trying to get out there and you don't have many funds, where you're like sleeping in your car and things like that, right? So in that whole conversation that she had about utilizing all of her funds, right, she didn't say that too, right? So it's like that could potentially happen where you could be homeless and you have to go back to your parents' house until you build your business. You have to, sleep, share a room with a friend, whatever the case is, like that's difficult. Like, okay, if you have it and you want to do it that way, sure. But for people who don't have, who are not super confident about what they're doing yet, that could be a confidence killer. That could be a confidence killer. Oh man, I have to be at my parents' house. Like I've heard that before. I have to be at my parents' house now. And the purpose why you move to your parents' house is going to change.
Right.
Instead of being all in and invested in starting your business, now you're like going through depression, and trying to figure things out, So I don't recommend people to utilize all of their retirement. I think look at your retirement and see what you have in there and do the math, right? Invest in mutual funds, invest in, other areas, Roth IRAs, things like that are going to bring you some sort of a return so you can have bulk of money in different areas, right? So you don't have to utilize your entire 401k, right? So look at that first. And then also look at what is it going to cost you to start this business? What type of business is it? Is it going to be a brick and mortar? Is it a e-commerce business? Like look at what the costs are going to be associated with that, right? And then look at your living costs, right? Do the math on all of that. Look at your 401k, see how much that will cover you for how long. See what other savings you have, things like that. And also look at your credit. Look at your credit. Because if you have good credit and you take out your LLC, for example, you take out your EIN, you could be approved. Yep. Even if you have a fresh startup business. Okay? So have good credit, work on your credit, leverage that, try to get some funding, right? So that you don't even have to put money out of your pocket to start your business, right? OPM, other people's money. That's what we should be leveraging.
But outside of kind of thinking about how much money you should have saved, like mindset-wise, if you're used to like being in this box and like something inside of you is yearning to break out of the box, how do you break out of the box?
Right. Honing in on your skills, understanding what you bring to the table, understanding, like what you can contribute, what your skills are, what you have to really like do research on the business that you're trying to start. Because once you leave that 9 to 5, you're going to work way more hours. Like it's going to be a 24/7 business. Like you're going to be checking emails at 4:00 in the morning, and depending also with who your clients are. If they're overseas, forget about it. Like you're never going to sleep. So you have to be comfortable with transitioning your life into that because it is very stressful and you have to develop new skills like multitasking and all of those things. So I think shifting your mindset to understand that, yes, you are going to have the freedom to work on what you love and what you're passionate about, but those hours are going to look crazy and you're going to be betting on yourself. There's not going to be anybody you can fall back on to get that check you were getting all the time. So you have to think about those things. 'Cause
So
it's
as
difficult.
a mama bear,
Yeah.
and for the moms listening or the dads who are listening who have kids and are thinking like, I can't transition. Like I have young people depending on me or they support someone in their family. What are your thoughts there? Like how should they be thinking about the transition? What did you do? Because you had kids.
Yeah. So I didn't do it the best way. And I think that's why I became so passionate about talking to small business owners, because I definitely made a lot of mistakes when I first started my business.
Like what?
I mean, I was utilizing all of my money for my business. Nobody spoke to me, and I have my master's degree. Nobody spoke to me about exactly what understanding finances were. No one explained that to me, right? I started my LLC. I got my EIN number, went to the bank. Not even the bank explained to me what options I would have and what I should do. So I utilized a lot of my own personal money. I also utilized a lot of credit cards, which then put me in a hole with credit card debt. So I had to rebuild myself from that and rebuild my credit. I think if you have a career and you have children and you're okay, yes, you want to become an entrepreneur full time, but you're okay with your career at the moment, I think just look at those things that I mentioned, right? Look at what you can leverage with your credit. You can still start your LLC while you're still working. You don't have to completely leave your 9 to 5 to start your business. You can start it as you're working in the 9 to 5. That's what I did, right? Because how else was I going to fund it anyway at the time? But look at while you're still working in your career in your 9 to 5, just look at those areas. Open up your LLC, get your EIN number, get your DUNS number, right?
How are you leveraging your DUNS number? Because I have a DUNS number, but I don't know if I'm leveraging it right.
Yeah, well, the DUNS number is like the credit for your business, right? So you just have to make sure that you're putting it to use when you're like applying for loans and things like that, because then it'll connect, and as you're paying those business loans, it'll boost up your credit system on the done side for your business.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's pretty much how you can leverage it. But yeah, that's what I would advise. Just build a plan. Like literally build your business plan before you leave your 9 to 5. Like build your business plan. Look at all the sections in the business plan. Make sure you understand what your 3 to 5 year goal is, like all of those things before you take the full leap of faith. But it can be done.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we just don't have the knowledge and the resources, but I think it's more the knowledge, because the resources are out there. I think we just don't have the knowledge. So we think, oh, we'll just call this company, start this LLC, and that is it. I have a business. You don't know how many clients I work with like that. And unfortunately, it's a lot of Latinos. It's a lot of people that come from other countries and start businesses here, and they think just because they have the LLC, they have a business, and it's like, no, there's other things.
Yeah.
Like, and then they're like, but Sue, why am I paying so much tax? And I'm like, well, I'll tell you why. Because you don't understand what you're doing. Or some businesses may have like a sole proprietorship, and they don't even understand that doesn't protect your personal assets. So now they're like, oh my God, I owe this money, I can't pay it. And I'm like, do you know that they can come after your personal assets right now? Get your ish together, right? So I think looking at all those things and getting the education and getting the knowledge will prevent you from committing so many mistakes.
Yeah.
You're still going to have your bumps on the road, but I think that'll help from eliminating like all of those things that could happen where you have to like file for bankruptcy, and things like that. So yeah, I think just building your business plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't have a business plan. I just kind of started and was like, let's see.
Yeah.
But to your point, I did have savings. So
Right.
that made it a little bit easier for me to be like, okay, let's see. Because I knew I had some play money.
Right.
Right? So I could wing it a little bit. And I also had like a plan B. Like, oh, okay, I could always go back to work.
Right.
I was in corporate for 15 years. I can always go back to work. It wasn't until I became more sophisticated in business that I started actually like planning and strategizing. Because some people use that as an excuse to not start. Oh, I got to put together my business plan. I got to know my goals for 5 years. And it's like, just start.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Just start and build the plane as you fly it.
Yes.
Things will come to you. You will learn. And I think also you'll start being a little more, like you'll know more to know what should even be in your plan. Because if you don't know what you don't know, it's like, sure, you can use ChatGPT to help you build out a plan, but it's just words on paper.
Right.
Like, how are you executing? And I think that's when coaching comes into play.
Yes.
And it's so significant to, like, work with somebody who's done what you were trying to do so you can, like, go faster on the learning curve and just get to where you're trying to go. So,
absolutely.
Let's get into the Talk That Talk segment.
Yes.
Where we address something taboo in the cultura, or perhaps something that you appreciate and like to see in the cultura that we should double down on.
Yeah.
So talk to us. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, really quick, I do want to say that mentorship, like you just mentioned, that's important, y'all. Like, get mentorship when you are going into the entrepreneurship world. Mentorship and maybe a financial advisor to look into your stuff. But a taboo. So I know you and I have talked about, our Latino community and how we should be more united. So that's one taboo that is always on my mind. I'm like, we need to be more united as Latinos,
Why don't you think we're united?
It's not that I think we're ununited, if that's a word.
I know.
But
we're making up words.
Not united. It's not that I don't think we're united. I think that in our space, I don't see all the time a lot of that Latino women camaraderie. When I first started, I was like with Black women. They were like my biggest supporters. I was their biggest supporter. That was my crew. And it's not to say that I didn't have my Latina friends, because my Latina girlfriends when I was younger, those are like my best friends till this day. But in the community space that I was in with women empowerment, things like that, it was like a lot of Black women. And I was missing my Latino community. I'm like, where are we? What are we doing? And that's why now I do a lot of my trainings in Spanish too, because I definitely want to tap into that community and give back in that way. So I do teach in Spanish. I give my workshops in Spanish and all of that. But so that's a taboo. And then I think
But why do you think?
I don't know.
Why do you think there is this gap?
I think that we are just like not open to support each other enough.
Do you think that's culturally, like we're raised that way, or?
It could be culturally. Because a lot of Latino communities, if you come from different Latino countries, there's like always like we're being pinned up against each other. Like, for example, you said, oh, Puerto Rican, Dominican, the best of both worlds. That's not how they see it. I get that all the time. Like, the best of both worlds. I'm like, that's not how they see it. There's a lot of clash with the Dominican and Puerto Rican community, right? So I think that, yes, I think it does stem back from generations before us.
Do you think there's tension between the Dominican and Puerto Rican community because Puerto Rico became a U.S. territory and the Dominican Republic wasn't? Like, why do you think there's this, like, hesitation? Do you think it's because of the male and female dynamic, because I'll have people often say, Puerto Rican women would talk about Dominican men and they'd be like, hey, I'm good.
Right.
Let me walk away right now. Let me walk away. It's my kryptonite. Gotta go.
For real.
And then Dominican woman, might have an issue with Puerto Rican women dating Dominican men. So where does this come from?
Yeah, I think definitely has something to do with Puerto Ricans being American citizens, because a lot of Puerto Ricans grew up here. So they learned the language, right? We speak fluent English, which I have a little bit of an issue, and not because I'm judging or anything, because life circumstances, if you're around people that talk English all the time, that's what's going to happen. But I do feel like our Puerto Rican culture should be teaching our children more Spanish, because we do lose that.
Like, I should be fluent in Spanish.
Yeah.
I get upset at my dad all the time. Like, why didn't you speak to me in Spanish? And it's because they become so Americanized.
Yeah.
Or I remember a mentor tell me that she was ashamed to speak Spanish because she was bullied at school.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's horrible. We definitely need to be teaching our children more Spanish, because that is an added bonus that we have. That's our little magic, our little sauce. We can interpret things. The population right now in this country, we are like getting
We're the
up there.
majority.
We're a
Yeah, true.
majority. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So that, and yeah, I think that just like Puerto Ricans coming here and being more Americanized, maybe, and don't attack me, guys. I'm just
Speaking facts.
just
I mean,
yeah,
and also
just
to
speaking
your
out loud,
experience.
and
Like,
yeah,
that's your experience.
I think that maybe the Dominican culture may feel a little inferior because of that, right? Because Puerto Ricans are here, they know English, they probably get the jobs that are more difficult for Dominicans to get and things like that. So I think that may definitely be a thing. I think also there's a lot of racism as well in our Latino culture, and that part too, like colorism and stuff like that happens a lot. So yeah, so I think those things, those issues that we've gone through, and I think also, unfortunately, there's generational curses that we're carrying from our ancestors that grew up in the islands, and the way that they dealt with the roles in the household, right? The wife and the husband role, right? For example, like the husband, in my Dominican culture, like the husband back then was always the breadwinner, always would be out making that money to bring to the family. The woman would stay home with the kids. That was her role, just to raise the kids. So some men went off and started other families, things like that. But the woman had to take that, right? So I think all of that too comes with us, and affects us now. And yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if all of that, like all of those feelings and that like type, different type of oppression or stuff like that is what makes us not want to be more united. I think they just pin us against each other too much. Like, for example,
when you say they, who?
I don't know,
they?
like society, right? Like society, like even when I think of like Colombian and Venezuelan, they're compared a lot also, right? And it's like one, which one is more beautiful, than the next and things like that. And it's like, what? Like, we're all Latinos, we're all beautiful in our own ways, like it just doesn't make sense to me. So I think as women, we think a lot about that and a lot about like appearance and things like that. And I think we're more in our ego in that way, as opposed to like, let me just meet this dope Latina woman and connect with her. We're more thinking about like, oh, well, who does she think she is, or what is she wearing, or whatever, Yeah. There's a lot of judgment, I feel.
Yeah, I definitely find with Latinas, we compete.
Yeah, yes.
And we compete for men, we compete for beauty, we compete for all these other things that is not really healthy competition.
No, at all.
It works against us.
It does.
Instead of for us. And just further divides the community.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Fearless.
Yes.
Thank you for
This
joining
was so
us
awesome.
today. Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate you being here. Tell the folks where they can learn more about this amazing Dubai trip and how they can connect with you and all the things.
Yeah. So you guys can follow me on all platforms at Sue Fearless, especially Instagram. I'm super active there. The organization for the Dubai trip is at Fearless International Agency, but you can also visit globalvipexperience.com to get all of the information on the trip and everything that's included. You'll see all of the past photos and content, and the podcast, Sip Fearlessly. That's SIP Fearlessly, and SIP stands for Sisters in Power.
Okay.
Which I love, yes. So check that out. We have a lot of amazing interviews, especially the one we had with Victoria.
Thank you.
And I think that's it. Yeah. And then just check out Fearless Women. That's my organization where I do a lot of my, my teaching and activating and getting people empowered with education. Yes.
Amazing. Well,
Yes.
thank you for being here. And thank you to you guys for tuning in to another episode. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, you know the drill. Make sure if you're watching us on the YouTubes, you're subscribing, you're leaving us feedback. If you're listening to us on the audio platforms, especially if you're tuning in on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review. We need those reviews. By the way, you got to leave us a review.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what? I got to start going back to our guests and asking them to leave reviews. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, I'm pretty sure you're going to love the next one. So make sure to click right here and tap into the next episode.